Listen, I have an idea.
It's how I feel when you make lemonade. Whatever today has given you. 5'11" headaches, still call it Thanksgiving. True.
Welcome to another edition of the Super Duper Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Graves, here with the super producer, S. McMahon.
Yes. What's going on, Rob? How you doing, man?
I'm better than Shadur Sanders, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. He's gonna be all right. Don't worry about Shadur Sanders.
Listen. Jalen Hurts was the second round pick, and look at him, $100 million man, Super Bowl MVP. Right. He's gonna be just fine. But thank you for checking out.
I was gonna say he has an extra chip on his shoulder. Wherever he's gonna get drafted tomorrow.
He's
gonna be all right.
Yeah. Welcome to another edition of the Super Duper Podcast. We do not take your listens lightly. Make sure you follow us on all socials. Super Duper Pod, SUPADUPAPOD. What up, Sarah? And online at HP53productions.com for our Hurts and additional content such as the Father Good podcast with our own S. McMahon with the Easy Smoke and GM podcast. You guys, I was shocked you guys weren't recording tonight. You guys recording this weekend?
We'll see, man. We might be going the ways of the Father Good podcast. It's been a while, man.
Oh, geez,
it's been a while. No. We gonna be all right. Actually, Glenn is at the draft as we speak. He is out in Green Bay right now. So
hold on, did he drive to Green Bay?
I'm sure that's how he got there.
Yeah, because I was hearing that Green Bay is a hard place to fly into, and I can imagine that. You know, I don't know how far it is from Milwaukee, but I'm sure it's not great.
It's 3 hours from Milwaukee.
Dadgum, 3 hours from Milwaukee?
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Think about it. Milwaukee is on our way up there. So
yeah, Milwaukee's 2 hours from us, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, hour and a half, depending on how you drive. Shout out to 94 East.
Well, hour and a half. Milwaukee's hour and a half.
Yeah.
So depending on traffic, like right now with the Kennedy, the construction, it's a little longer. But there's no big cities in that area up in that's basically northern Wisconsin.
Man. So I guess if you live in Green Bay, people live in Green Bay, right? Everything is about the 10.
It's 100,000.
I guess I never thought about this ever. Like I never thought about why are they not the Milwaukee Packers? It's like
the Packers actually did at the time. They used to split games in with Green Bay. They would play 4 games in Green Bay and they play 4 games in Milwaukee. And that they did that into the 90s. And then they decided that they wanted to keep all their games up in Lambeau. So so they did that. And the Milwaukee fans were still going to travel up there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, I'm sure most of their season ticket holders are, from the Milwaukee area.
Yeah.
But then I get, you got Green Bay has 170,000 people that live there. You got Appleton, right, about 30 minutes away is another city, and the surrounding communities in that area. They probably have a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
In those areas. So yeah, it's people up there.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, thanks for the history lesson on the Green Bay Packers.
I know.
We can't like
Green
them.
Bay.
Shout out to B-Jack. Well, actually, not shout out to B-Jack, but he knows why.
Did you see what Clay Matthews did at the beginning of the draft today?
No, I didn't.
He said he talked to the president before the draft
of the United States,
and he had a message. And then he opened the message and he said, "The Bears still suck."
Wow. Nicely done. Gotta give it up. Gotta give it up. Okay. That's man.
Funny guy.
So how do you feel about the draft? Like I think about just, you see the draft and it's like this is a lifetime goal and it's like being recognized. I think the funniest thing is seeing the families at the draft. Like, I saw today on my Instagram feed the top 5 girlfriend moments at the draft where moms are like pushing the girlfriend
out the way. Sit down.
They keep showing Russell Wilson's ex-girlfriend, but hey, listen, shout out to Russell Wilson. He made a game time business decision. Like,
Oh
listen,
yeah, he had to do what he had to
I
do.
got to get you out the paint, and now he with
Yeah,
Sierra. Like, who was that? No, I've been with
yeah,
Sierra forever. Yeah,
yeah,
that's all I want, man. But no,
yeah.
these young men's lives have definitely changed forever. Like, I feel like that's getting ready for the draft and this stuff is nerve wracking. But we made a joke about it, but no joke about Shadur Sanders. I'm sure, like, he probably knew he wasn't going to. Well, actually, he probably thought he was going first round. All the mock drafts had him going to the New York
Here's the thing: you
Giants.
we're in a weird situation now where
Mm-hmm.
coming into this draft, there weren't that many places that needed quarterbacks,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
yeah. It's usually everybody needs a quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tennessee needed a quarterback. They had the number one pick. They took Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants still need a quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
and they took who did they took
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter from Penn State, the edge rusher, and then they traded up into the first round and got Jackson Dart. So they were the only two quarterbacks that went in the first round. So
And shout out to Travis Hunter, man, going to Jacksonville Jaguars. You think he'll play both positions?
I guess that's what the plan is. They announced
Oh,
them for both positions. So I don't know how
really?
that works. I could see if you're going to give them maybe a package,
Mm-hmm.
on the offense, or and he's going to play mostly defense or vice versa. But
Yeah.
to play every down, that's going to be tough to do in the NFL.
Yeah,
That's not
because
an
it's
easy
because it's
task.
grown men punching you in the chest the whole
Yeah,
time. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
And you have to, not that he can't do it, not that he doesn't have the skill. My issue would be the durability side.
Yeah.
You know, if he gets, taken down, which he did in Colorado. He broke his he broke some ribs or something
Really?
um last season and was out
Mm-hmm.
for an extended amount of time.
Well,
So if that, continuously happens, I don't think both ways is gonna work. So, but we'll see. Hey, if anybody can do it, he can do it. He's special.
hey man, shout out to him, man, and shout out to all these guys, all 32 guys they got picked tonight. Dreams coming true. You know what I'm saying? Changing the trajectory of the families, man. Again, that just must be pretty cool to get drafted. Like, I feel like the biggest thing with the draft is your outfit. First is your outfit, and also the people that's if the NFL seems like the draft where it's not really about the location. So, for example, the NBA draft is like people are there to get drafted and be in New York, yada yada yada. But I feel like NFL draft is you might be at the crib, got your people with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to kind of make sure that scene is looking pretty cool, pretty easy. Because that's gonna be remembered forever. You know what I'm saying? If again with the jokes we talked about, but you want to make sure that like the grandma ain't got nothing crazy on in the screen. That's gonna be running a loop every year, man. You know what I'm saying? That the mom ain't pushing the girlfriend, giving her the Heisman, like knocking her off the couch. You know what I'm saying? She might have been with me forever. She might be the wife. You never know, man. But now you gave her a smack to the face because
Odds
I
are
got
not.
drafted
She's
number
not.
one.
Was it
Yeah, mom's
CD
know.
Lamb who had the two cell phones, and the girlfriend tried to go for one, and he pushed out the way?
He's like, no, no, no. This is it. This is it. But yeah, make sure you check out the Easy Smoker GM podcast wherever you get your podcasts. They'll be talking a lot of Bears as the season goes on, man. So as we got a great show today. Today is probably the last week or so of Autism Acceptance Month, and we got a great interview with Alvin Green from Al's Cookie Mixx. So he has a cookie bakery company here in Chicago, and their focus is helping children with autism, like work at jobs and kind of get experience there. And he has a son with autism, so we talked about that. Because of course the chipmunks came up. So yeah, guys, think you really will enjoy Alvin Green of Al's Cookie Mixx. Check it out. So today on the Super Duper podcast, got a wonderful guest today, Mr. Alvin Green of Al's Cookie Mixx. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm well, thanks. How about yourself?
Good, good, good. Really happy to have you here. Well, we talked a bit about before we started recording. I found out about you serendipitously through some people, flyers, things of that nature. So I finally got you on the podcast and here to celebrate you guys today. So, with it being Autism Acceptance Month, We try to always do something to feature autism. And you guys know I'm always talking about my kids and my journey with autism and just, growing in that space. So definitely glad to have you be here today. So tell us a little bit about your company, because I've had some of the products and I enjoy it. Tell us a bit about what you guys do.
Okay, it is Al's Cookie Mixx. We're an online customizable gourmet cookie company. The website is www.als, A-L-S, cookie mix with two X's and .com. It says ALSCOOKIE MIXX.com. And reason we call it that, they're pre-baked cookies, but we call it Al's Cookie Mixx because our niche is you can customize and build your own one-of-a-kind cookie on the website. So you go to the website, you pick your base, vanilla, chocolate, oatmeal, go down the list of our mix-ins, create your own custom cookie, pick what you want, and we say you mix, we bake, and we ship. We ship anywhere in the country. So locally, we'll go out to the East Coast, West Coast. We do continental U.S. We don't do Alaska and Hawaii or Puerto Rico, places like that.
Yeah.
And we started the company because I have been baking cookies since I was 6 years old. I just turned 58. So I've been playing around with it for a minute. And then so COVID, we were trying to figure out, actually, before COVID, I have a niece. She's in her early 50s. She has special needs. And my older sister was always saying, plan for your next step. Plan for the next step. Plan for like this. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the saying, when the bus stops coming. So when they reach about 21, 22, most programs end. And so there's never enough programs or employment opportunities for kids with special needs. Because I think, I'm not sure the latest statistic, but it's about 80% of adults with special needs are unemployed.
Yeah.
And numbers probably a little higher for adults in urban areas and adults with special needs of color. And so we were thinking as a family, it's like, because as a whole family, of what we can do to make sure that Aiden had opportunities, especially for employment, once he aged out of the educational system. And so when COVID hit, my wife was like, well, you love baking cookies and that's your gift. So why don't we start a company doing cookies? And so it was like Al's Cookie Mixx was born. And so it comes out of the love that I have for baking cookies, and also the love that we as a family have for Aiden and his friends.
Yeah.
So we employ adults with special needs or disabilities. I don't get hung up on the titles anymore because it's like, it is what it is. It's like, call it what you want, but they still are angels. So we employ them wherever possible. So every task is a job. So labeling, making boxes, brochures, whatever it is, we can figure it out. We say, get in where you fit in. So,
yeah. So. We did a pod a few months ago just about that very stuff, just because, I told you my kids are 13 and my oldest son is 8, and actually Aiden, Brooklyn, and Chase. That's the triplets name.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I did a report on just like the work, being neurodiverse at work, right? And just kind of how people, they're accepting that more, and how people at first wouldn't even say they had something because they didn't want to first not get the job, but then also there are certain accommodations that need to be made. And now it's more accepted. But that got me thinking about my kids, like, I'll blink and they'll be 16, right? And then I'll blink again and they'll be 25. So what do I do right now? So a lot of it has been conversations about being responsible, right? Well, they probably hate the word responsible now because I say it so much, but just like being responsible, being accountable, but also knowing that even though these are things that we are managing as a family, like there's still some steps you got to take to be able. So that's why when I saw your company, I thought it was great, just because, I tell people, man, when I see somebody at the grocery store and they bagging the groceries, I try to give them a high five, because you don't understand like all that it took for them to do that job right there, right?
Exactly.
And they're so happy and they're so proud. and just to encourage them, man. So when I saw your company, I definitely wanted to have you on. So, but to that point about just preparing for the future. So, my biggest concern is just how to really get from point A to point B. Like, what were some challenges that you kind of saw when Aiden, your son, was in this, maybe 12, 13, and kind of how you kind of got ahead of that for now?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he went to local elementary school, Cassell over in Mount Greenwood.
Mm-hmm.
The principal at the time was great. Where a lot of other schools in the neighborhood didn't want kids with IEPs, she was like, give them to me. I'll take it.
Wow.
And so she had, like, I think at one point, 35% of her kids had IEPs.
Wow.
And they had a wonderful teacher that really prepared them academically and socially for high school. And then he ended up going to Chicago Ag and for high school. And their program was a little bit more on life skills, and getting out in the community, learning how to ride public transportation, and then doing like a lot of how do you do laundry, how do you do all those things. But then COVID hit, and so that was a big blow to a lot of the kids in that age, because Aiden was home with me for 18 months.
Mm.
So he had some setback because Aiden has language, but he hates to talk. Mm-hmm. Does not like to talk. And so he was home with me. He was like, "Why I gotta talk?" Like, because him and I have that bond. He can look at me, and I look at him. I'm like, "Okay, what do you want?" I know what he wants. I'm like trying to make him talk. Where at school they used to make him talk, so that was a thing. Yeah. So the challenge is just trying to figure out your kid, and like since you said you have triplets, God bless you.
Appreciate you.
Because you got three. You got three. You got to figure out
every prayer you can send up. I need it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got to figure 3 people out. I had to just figure 1 out. Actually, I had to figure 2. I have an older son, but he's not on the spectrum. But you just got to figure your kid out, and then, like I said, and just see what's best for them. I mean, because like I have a buddy, him and I actually went to high school and college together, and he lives out in Frankfurt, and his oldest is on the spectrum, but he was able to go to college. Hmm. And where Aiden, he wasn't able to do that, but he's at Southside Occupational, which some of the kids call a work college. It teaches them employment skills, life skills, thing that. So you got to see what's best for your kid. And I tell folks, you know your child better than anybody else. So don't let anyone tell you have any concerns. Advocate for them. And it's like, because like Aiden doesn't like to talk, but folks tell you, I do when it comes to him. So I would get in there and I'll be your best friend until he's not getting what he needs or what he's. I tell folks, we don't. We were in a thing years ago, and she was an attorney, special needs attorney. She had 3 kids on the spectrum like you, but she had different ages. And she said, you are not legally entitled to a Cadillac education, but you make sure that they get that your child gets what they're legally entitled to. And a lot of school districts don't want to, for whatever reason, give our kids what they're legally entitled to. So I tell folks, I've always said this, I'll be your best friend as long as you're doing your job. Yeah. But I'll be your worst nightmare when you don't. So I'm like, I'm not afraid to go to battle, but I'm not gonna just battle just for the sake of battling, trying to get something that he's not legally entitled to. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, I will be your worst nightmare.
Yeah. Because you got to be that way, right? Because what I found in this journey is how many services there are out there. Like, so I have sisters. My niece is social workers. They work in Chicago Public School. My sister's retired. And you live in certain neighborhoods. You learn information and you get it. But I always feel for the people who may not have been as fortunate to have somebody in the family like me. And it's like they're struggling along and don't know this information is out there. That's the part that's always heartbreaking. That's why I try to share information when I can and do pods like this so people can hear, like maybe they got a relative who got something. They can go, hey, listen to this. It's more stuff for you to have and out there. But I want to go back to your point about the knowing different, like gotten to know your kid and just knowing different things. Like truly, my kids can do the same thing. I got to yell at them differently because it's like, I got to just be like, this is enough. And then he's done. My youngest son is like, we got to have a whole conversation. Got to talk about why. My daughter just kind of gets away with it. It's like, okay, well, just don't do it again next time, And,
I got you.
and my daughter's the same way in terms. So she's limited verbally, but the
Okay.
one person she talks to the most is my mom because my mother's a really good cook. My mother just told her, listen, I give you anything you want. She said, Grandma, I'll make anything you want if you tell me. I mean, Brooklyn in there saying chicken, fish. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
she talking. I look at her like, she got all kind of words for you, Mom. This is insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Aiden can have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
He chooses not to. So, and everybody's like, he just doesn't like to talk. Sometimes I think it's because he might not know the
What to say.
words to say or
Yeah.
how to say it. And he doesn't, I mean, we learned a long time ago, he doesn't like to be wrong.
Mhm.
So, like making choices or decisions or choosing things for him is really hard because he doesn't want to pick the wrong thing or make the wrong decision or choice. So, we always tell him there's no right or wrong answer. But I mean, that's just him. So you work with them. You work with it's like any other child. You work with them where they are, and it's like you meet them where they are, and you love them to death, and you keep going.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, yeah.
go ahead, make a point.
No, I say I understand. You gotta each child is different. It's like I mean neurodiverse, whatever, non-neurodiverse, because we're
Yeah.
all.
All the same.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. It's everybody, and that's what I've learned as well. Like, you know, their challenges may be more pronounced, but we all got stuff that we do to regulate us. So, I may tap on the table a few times, right? It's normal to most. You see what I'm saying? I don't think people
no,
think
no,
about
no,
it
no,
that
no.
way.
Actually, it's funny because I've had that conversation
Yeah.
for years about 'cause someone was recently was asking about stemming, and I was like, we all stem,
All STEM.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, have you ever been in a meeting and someone's like tapping their feet or they got a pen and they keep clicking the pen or they tapping on the table? I said, that's stemming. Or I said, or you got people. I'm like, I said, we all do it. It's like to say to self-regulate. You might not do it. I said, well, Aiden might, or some of his friends might run around a little bit
Yeah.
and or they make noises or whatever. I said, it's like you said, it's more pronounced where ours might be a little bit hidden. But like, I mean, you talk to people, like people sitting in a meeting and somebody's tapping their foot. Some people it drives them crazy. I'm like, you might be on the spectrum because certain little things. Because I'm like, because I mean, I'm 58, and a lot of folks my age, you look back once we started seeing it, you like they on the spectrum. It's
Hmm.
just like it was just never diagnosed.
Sure, sure, sure. So
Yeah,
now
so
I know you've been on this journey for a long time, like, probably about a few years before me. So, and I feel like now, even though of course there could be more services, more help, but I feel like I can
mm,
say there's a lot. Like, you drive around, you see different ABA centers, and you see, people talking about autism. We're doing a podcast about autism,
yeah.
right? But I'm sure. But how was it, maybe 10, 15 years ago when you were first? Was it still this many people really? Because it seems like there's been this major shift. I know, again, no organizations have been around for a long time, but it feels
Yeah.
like, I'm sure when you started out, how challenging was it to get services and help to move forward and help your son?
It was actually, I mean, like I said, it's it's more aware. It's people are more aware of it now,
Yeah.
and because it was people were just getting aware of it. So people were like they were very open to learning when we got started our journey like almost 20 years ago. So people were aware of it, and tell people we were very blessed to have an amazing village because I have a huge family, and then like our circle of friends and stuff, people who are family, like they are amazing, and everybody was like, "We got you. Like whatever you guys need, we got you." And uh, so for that, like, because one of my wife's old job, it's a family. It was a small family business. That wasn't necessarily small, but it was a family-owned business. Had known them forever, and they actually this was before the state passed a law that said you had to, for insurance, had to provide certain services. Back then, they had to buy each service individually,
Mm.
and so with that, and so that company, like, because they're still like family, they they, they created a Cadillac health plan around Aiden's needs.
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
That's awesome. That's all. Because I can even like I talk my parents are in their 80s, right?
Mhm.
And we talk often because kind of the point you're making. It's like we probably know a lot of people who had autism when they were younger.
Yeah, they just
They let them run around or just didn't know didn't know what happened to them. But I appreciate like even now like like my daughter probably has the most pronounced behaviors, like she will scream or she elopes and has some aggressive behavior. So people just kind of got to know there was a period where people will be trying to overhelp because they didn't understand. They thought, oh, she's like a
yeah,
normal kid, like I had somebody, I don't want to say who they are because she might be listening. It's my aunt, but she tried to grab her because she
yeah,
was a teacher, and I was like, Auntie, listen, this a little different ball of wax right here because you're gonna grab her and then you'll come back with a black eye and a bite mark. It's
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
but I think now people, when they see me and the chipmunks, is what I call them, man, Brooklyn specifically, they kind of know that they kind of give away, they give her a tap, but they know just give her space, and it's not a thing. Like it's nobody
yep,
saying raising them wrong or isolating them. It's just like, oh, she need a space, need a minute. If we
yep,
can't get in there, say hey, fantastic. So I do appreciate that. And I think even for me, I appreciate when they got diagnosed. My sister and my niece kind of prepped me, like saying this might be the thing, prep them and their mom, just like, hey, just look out for this. But I say that because I saw people later on whose children had to get diagnosed, and they were like, I think my kid has autism, and they're like very sad and whatnot. And I said, okay, just they didn't say they were dying, right? They just
yeah,
got a way of looking at the world. It's they process the world differently. You just got to learn that now. And I feel like
yeah.
that's become a little bit easier to handle.
I mean, because I know when we got Aiden's diagnosis, we were at La Rabida,
Yeah,
and because he was so close to 3, he only got a few months of Easter seals,
yeah.
and
It was just about
they,
2 when they got diagnosed. Yeah.
yeah. So with Aiden, it was kind of like because Aiden has hyperlexia also, which
Okay.
uh, that can some kids have an affinity for numbers, and his was affinity for letters.
Hmm.
So at 3, he was reading. Comprehension wasn't there, but he could read at 3. And so we got the first few diagnoses. It was like conflicting. People were like, "I'm not sure if he's on the spectrum, whatever, or he has this, but he can read, he can do this." And we finally got a diagnosis at La Rabida. And it was my wife happened to be out of town when we had an appointment, so I went, took him in, and there was a young social worker, and she came in and she was like, "Oh, and oh, I'm so sorry to hear this." And I'm like, "Hey, we knew something was wrong. Now we know what it is,
Well,
and
what
like
to do
now we
something
can
about it?
move forward."
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, so I called my, like I said, I'm the youngest of actually 16 kids. Both my
Wow.
parents, both my parents were married before and stuff, and then they had a bunch of kids together, and so I have a huge family. And like I said,
Yeah.
our circle, our village is huge. I got in the phone, I'm like, "All
And
right,
but
y'all."
hold on, you got a village, you got a whole town.
I'm like, I'm like, I need some. Like, I'm like, we need help. Like, what we
Yeah.
do? And so I called my older sister with my niece, who's like who's in her 50s now. And she was like, "Okay, this guys, whatever." We called up like my wife's cousin, his wife. She was a school nurse. She was like, "Okay, you got to get him diagnosed with CPS, and you start getting the services going. This is what you need to do." And like, so I used to have a catering company, and one of my clients actually was on the CPS board at the
Wow.
time. So I'm like, "Hey." I'm talking to her about doing her Thanksgiving dinner. And she's like, "Oh, let me find out from whatever, and I'll put you in contact with them." So, like I said, we were very blessed, and like I said, like you had in your family, we have folks in our village, and like I said, one of the reasons why we started Al's Cookie Mixx, because we said there are a lot of kids, especially look like our kids, their family don't have those connections, don't have those resources, don't know, and they're just out there. And we were like, okay, what about those? Because I always said Aiden was going to be fine. He was going to be fine because we were going to advocate. We know, like, I mean, we had folks who were friends who were attorneys. They were like, okay, this is legal. This ain't legal. It was like, and so I'm like, and I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna read every law I got to and call up my friends who are lawyers. Say, what does this mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, those kids that don't have that support, those families that don't have that support, we were like, okay, how can we make sure that some of those kids are taken care of and looked after also?
Sure. So before we started recording, you and I were talking about just how being dads in this space, especially Black
Yeah.
dads in this space, right? And how, we go to parent events and, we the only dads, are looking around and then with these Black dads, so speak to that a little bit. Because I know I've talked about it on the pod, like just like challenge is even the wrong word. It's just a different mix when you are a dad walking in this space.
Like being dads in the space, it was like I heard like the guy who started, I tell you about Deborah Vines. She is an advocate. Her son's in their 30s. Her late husband used to have a support group for dads. And him and I chatted for a minute. He said, we have to, like the whole thing about find those people our own support, because like his son was a teenager. He said, while his friends' kids were going to prom, his son was just learning how to tie his shoes.
Yeah.
And he was like, they didn't understand like what he was going through. And he was just like, I'm super proud. And my boys were like, no, he can tie. Like he just. I'm like, he was like, and a couple of his friends were like, yo, we get it. We've been with you this whole journey, so we know. And so you just got to find your tribe. And I tell people, it's like, and like you and I was saying earlier, I don't care who you are, mom, dad, whomever, whatever race, color, creed you are. If you can give me some information that can help my kid, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna do what I got to do to talk to you, because I want information. It's like I'm not gonna go, oh, woe is me. I'm gonna go up in there and figure out what I got to do to help my child, and that's just it. Because I know we used to do horseback riding. We did that therapeutic horseback riding for like 10 years, and actually I just found out it was at the Beverly Art Center one day. My oldest son taking an art class, and talking to one of the moms in the neighborhood, and she was like, "Yeah, we got about to go horseback riding." I'm like, "Where? Where's horseback riding?" And it was in Peatone,
Oh,
like right
wow.
next to Frankfurt. And I'm like, and so we went out there, and when we first got there, we were the only brown family. And so, and I have a buddy, like I said, our village is great. I have a buddy who's the wine guy, Port Again Sam. I always say it wrong. Sommelier, whatever. I said the wine guy. Yeah. So we started a scholarship to get more kids of color riding.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we would have like these food and wine pairing dinners to get people to come out and to see, and and so I mean, it's like, so like for the first couple of years, like I said, we were the only brown family out there, but we got more, but we got more of our kids out there. It was a hike. It was like 35, 40 minutes, or depending on the weather, out to Peatone every Saturday from May to November. But he loved it. I mean, he did a Special Olympics equestrian, everything.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
but
That's awesome. And I think what I tell people a lot is kind of what you were talking about with the whole prom versus tying the shoes. Like the biggest thing you got to get over it were the quote unquote dreams you had for your kid. Like,
Yep.
I'm gonna walk them down the aisle, or we're gonna do this, and it's like, and that's the sad part, because you're like, the stuff I thought we were gonna do, probably not gonna do, but it doesn't mean you can't make new dreams, right, and new goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a grieving process.
Absolutely,
it's a grieving process, and you have to grieve, like you said, for the dreams you had that aren't going to be the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you grieve that, and you deal with it, and it's like, I know it's like, and I was on another podcast with some, like, it's a group of dads with special needs, and like most of them, all of them are pretty much Caucasians, white. And I was saying, like, because my dad was 56 when I was born, and so and he grew up in Mississippi. He was born 1911 Mississippi, and so he was saying, well, like, about one thing your dad really taught you. And I said, I was stressing one day, and I don't really usually stress out. I can't remember, it was high school, college. I was stressing about something. He said, just remember, you ain't on the block. That's mean, which means, what's the block, Pops? And he said, the auction block. Ain't nobody trying to sell you a blankety blank. He says, I'm like, so whenever I get like, whenever I'm like, ain't on the block, I'm like, I got this.
Out the pops.
I got this. I ain't on the block. I got this.
Yeah. But but like I'm saying, you got to make new dreams. Like so my children didn't know how to skate. And I feel like you being from Chicago, you got to know how to roller skate. And I was determined to do this. I took them one summer. That's all we did every week, man. I mean, every chipmunk I had one on each leg. I'm dragging one, and we going around. Now for their birthday, they had a skating party, and I never forget my daughter Brooklyn. I told you about it already. She's zipping around that place. My sister stopped me and said, "Now hold on, she can't ask for juice. She can't skate, but she is skating around this roller rink." I said, "I don't know this," and that's one of my favorite memories with them because, like you say, like you got to hold on to the things that you when you see them doing something great and well, you got to lean into it. You never know how it helps them and how it moves forward, how it encourages other people, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, like with any kid, I remember years ago, was just saying, like, was it like my mom or somebody said, any kid, figure out what they're good at, and focus on that. Like the other stuff, you got to work on it, but whatever they're good at, like, 'cause I think it was my mom. She was like, if a kid is good at science, that's what you focus on. If a kid is good at art, you focus on that. I mean, everyone has their strengths, everyone has their weaknesses, and you got to focus on and our kids definitely. I mean, because some of them, you want to work on the weaknesses, but you want to definitely focus on that strength, and that's how they're going to get through the world. I mean, like you said, because some of our kids, 40% of some of our kids are nonverbal.
Yeah.
Never hear a word. But if you keep working on it, you might get a few things out of there every now and then. But they might be great at playing a musical instrument. And that could be their gift. I mean, everyone's not a musical person, but like I said, Aiden hates language, but he loves, like I said, he's dyslexic. I mean, he's hyperlexic, so he loves alphabet. So he taught himself. It used to be a thing. Was it website Starfall?
Yeah, I know that one.
I think it's still I think it's still around, but it was just starting out. He taught himself phonics. He taught himself sign language. He would be in the mirror going, A says I, and that was his strength, like reading. And we had to work on the comprehension.
Yeah.
But the reading part was there. Like I said, he taught himself sign language. Because like just today, I was going to get his hair cut, and our friend was ordering something. And he was talking to somebody in Spanish. He goes, "How do you say strawberry in Spanish?" And I said, "Hey, how do you say strawberry in Spanish?" He goes, "Fresca." I'm like, "How do you say this in Chinese?" He just said it because he's watched those videos and he's learned. So he's interested in language. He doesn't necessarily because like one day he was on some, this is years ago, he was on some video on YouTube. I'm like, "What are they speaking, Aiden?" He goes, "Polish." And he's like, because he's laughing and stuff. I'm like, because it sounded like we had some Polish friends. I'm like, "What is that?" He goes, "Polish," and he's like, "No big deal." And I was like, "Well," I'm like, then next thing you know, like an hour later, he's on some French video, but he's just laughing, but he understands it.
Yeah.
So whatever their strengths are, go for it.
That's awesome. And these kids are amazing for sure, man. Listen, I don't want to keep you any longer. I appreciate your time. Okay. I do got one more question because I find myself to be a cookie connoisseur. So you know what I mean. I used to love the original Cookie Factory back in the day. We used to go to the Evergreen Plaza just to get one cookie. So I know they're custom cookies, but tell me something like if you got some favorite flavors that people should try. Maybe they'll get there, they don't know what to do. What's some flavors people should try when they come order?
Okay, yeah. I mean, what we like I said, is two things when you go on the website is buy your cookies.
Yeah.
There's like some of Al's favorites. There's like triple chocolate chip with 3 types of chocolate, semi-sweet, milk, and dark. There's a white chocolate cranberry. There's a oatmeal raisin, and like I'm an old head, so I like oatmeal raisin. People be like, "This is the best oatmeal raisin." I'm like, I've been making oatmeal raisins 50 years. So I done got this down. But like I said, and like every month we have a limited edition flavor also. We play around with stuff. Like I said, one of our favorites now is a lemon blueberry. I made that one for autism Awareness Acceptance Month a couple years ago, and it was normally we have them for like a month or two. We'd keep that one around 4 or 5 months, and so it became part of like of Al's favorites. And like this month, so April we have the lemon blueberry, and that's on sale for the whole month of April. And we also have a it's also April is also oatmeal cookie month. So we did a play around. We did an oatmeal cookie. I mean, sorry, oatmeal with mango cookie.
Gotcha.
So that's like really good. And then, like I say, one of my favorites, we actually make it since you live out here in Beverly. Anyone in Chicago, there's a great barbecue place called Sanders. It's on West 99th.
Listen, they get me every Thursday, man.
They open on Wednesdays now. They started opening on Wednesday.
I know, but they see me probably most Thursdays. I'm in Sanders waiting in that long line. Yeah.
But they carry our cookies.
Oh,
it's
wow.
A brown butter bourbon pecan made with Uncle Nearest 1884 bourbon. It's not on the menu. Got to go to Sanders to get it. But that's one of my favorites. We will also say, like, playing around, like with my buddy the wine guy, we came up with a red wine brownie cookie with a red wine reduction. So those are really good. Those like the adult cookies. I mean, kids can eat it because the alcohol cooks off.
Yeah.
But that's some of my favorites. Like I say, I love oatmeal, but but my wife, she does hers is chocolate chip with walnuts and pecan, because she was like, she's not a big fruit person in her cookie. So
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like cookies and pizzas. I had a buddy. He tried. He was married to this one lady. And she got him eating pineapple pizza. I said, "See, she didn't change you already, man. Don't put that fruit on that pizza or your cookies."
I mean, because like you said, because we found out everybody has something different.
Yeah.
Everybody wants something. Like everyone loves cookies, but it's ubiquitous. But everybody wants something different. Like I said, it's like I make one, and we're probably gonna roll it out this summer. It's called Taste of the Tropics. It's dried papaya, mango, pineapple with Cointreau, and
oh wow.
So I was able to cure. But my wife, she goes, it's all right, because she don't like the dry fruit. She's like, it's all right. People are like, oh my God, this is so good. She's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, you're probably gonna see a big order of oatmeal chocolate chip from me, man, because that's probably my favorite cookie. But Alvin Green, I really appreciate you being on the Super Duper podcast today. Make sure you give us your contact information one more time before you get out of here.
Okay, the website is alscookiemixx.com. That's www.alscookiemixx.com. So it's Al's Cookie Mix with 2 X's, no apostrophe. And so, but I tell, like, our tagline, I didn't say this, our tagline is, your enjoyment provides employment. Wow. And also I tell people, besides the customization, is because a lot of our kids have dietary restrictions or dietary special, we don't use any preservatives. We use only premium ingredients. We use European style butter. We use organic eggs. So that's been a stretch this time. Unbleached flour, non-GMO, pure cane sugar, brown sugar, pure vanilla. It's all premium ingredients. We use organic raisins. We do jelly chocolates because, like I said, I don't want, and you can taste the difference, people say, because I tell people, I'm not going to give you anything that I'm not going to feed my own child. So, and Aiden used to have a lot of GI issues before we put him on a gluten-free, dairy-free diet, which actually helped for years. And then he got to the point where he wanted to be like, he was about 7th or 8th grade, and he was like, no more daddy lunch. I want to be like everybody else lunch. And I'm like, okay. And so he was at that point.
They draw lines like
he was like, no more daddy lunch. I'm like, I'm gonna be like everybody else. And so he was a little bit of adjustment for him. His body had to kind of get used to the gluten again. But like I said, I want to make sure our kids have really good ingredients. So tell folks, it costs pretty much the same as the other cookies when you cost it out, but it's a much better product in that way. And like I tell folks, the more cookies we sell, the more kids we can hire. So So y'all go to alcookiemix.com and buy some cookies. So we get these kids in there, get them to work.
Oh, put on the
So they ain't sitting at
heartstrings.
home.
Put them
So they ain't sitting at
heartstrings.
home. Because no one sitting. It's a as I say, it's a great cookie for a great cause.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Al, man, listen, it's been my pleasure talking to you. I love to keep in touch with you, man. Reach out to you. One of the things you got going on. So thank you for your time today, sir.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Take care.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Again, one thing, Alvin Green from Al's Cookie Mixx. Thank you for checking us out and being here on the pod and sharing his story about his company, about his family. Really appreciate that. You know, a lot is, we do dads and don'ts on here. And a lot of times it's more me sharing with people, but I appreciate all the times when I can hear from another person, especially a dad with children with autism, see how they are managing that. And he created this business and this company that's around helping his own son and helping other children with autism. So salute to him. Make sure you guys go order some cookies. I'm gonna order some cookies as when we get done. Put some oatmeal chocolate chip cookies in on order because they're customizable cookies that you can make from the company, man. So make sure you check that out. So make sure you stay out of trouble, like unlike Shannon Sharp, and make sure that you check us out online.
We weren't supposed to bring that up.
We weren't supposed to do it. Sorry. But make sure you check us out online at hp53productions.com for our merch and on all socials, SUPAD. I mean, Shannon Sharp. It's like, bro, come on, man. You was what is it? Here's
the deal, man.
Okay, here, let's do it. Go ahead.
You at the time, all right. We'll go back in time just to make it right. You 54 years old, man. What you 54. Doing messing with a 19-year-old?
What you doing, dog?
Come on,
making a poor decision.
Come on, man.
Because at a certain point, I think you just gotta be like, all right, I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be like, I'm too old for this. Get you a nice 40-plus-year-old that know about your ailing back and knees. And she goes to the doctor too. You know what I'm saying?
Go settle down and you don't have to worry about $50 million lawsuits, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. That's simple.
Yeah, so he had to take a leave.
If you do, don't go after OnlyFans models. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and if you do, just keep cameras around the house. So thank you for checking out Super Duper Podcast. We do not take this lightly. Make sure you follow us online and also SUPADUPAPOD. What up, Sarah? And online at hp53productions.com. Make sure you take care of yourselves and each other. Hey, mama, this is the Super Duper Podcast.
Or do the K stand for kamikaze? The J silent is everywhere, you can feel them probably. Surely, lately, I've been up late with demons in my basement trying to get me to hate this. Life thinking I should be further and then I choke up. As soon as I got silent, then the truth spoke up. They said, how you know you ain't perfect? Let that soak up and soak in.